Aaron Halterman, how's it going, my man? Another time for another VSiN at the track here.
I'm excited, dude. This is going to be a good show. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot to cover. So, yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll.
And we've got a new format today as well, which I think we're both pretty excited about. Going to be a little more free-flowing today. We're not going to be re-airing tomorrow on VSiN proper over on SiriusXM channel 158. So we're just going to kind of cut through this year. You're not going to have the same breaks that we've had in the previous weeks. You can find it over on the VSiN Best Bets podcast channel. So make sure you check it out inside of that feed and you're subscribed to that feed so that you're able to re-listen if you want any of if you want to catch any of the bets that we're going to give out here toward the end of the show. And excited because we get a couple new features here. We're going to be able to handicap the major stakes races over this weekend and then give best bets outside of those races as well at the end of the show, Aaron.
Yeah, I think that is going to be the good thing about it. We'll be able to kind of work through all of it, kind of do a little more free-flowing show, a little more pleasant for the YouTube listener, I would say. So, yeah, definitely excited for it. And we got a lot to cover. And like I said, man, got to recap this crazy Triple Crown series. How good was that? And then you got to move ahead because we got really good racing coming up this weekend.
And we got information today as well. We got breaking news on Belmont next year that we've got to go over that definitely going to be impacted by what we saw this year as well.
I'm excited. I do like Saratoga just a bit, Somich. So maybe one more year up there isn't the worst thing in the world. I do kind of feel like, you know what, though, seriously, it does feel a little strange to have the Belmont there. Belmont should be at Belmont Park, but I'm not overly sad about it, Somich. I think it's going to be just fine up at Saratoga for one more season.
Well, I'll tell you this much. If I'm going to one of the two racetracks, I would much rather this be at Saratoga because I would much rather be in upstate New York by Lake Saratoga, that downtown, than kind of in the middle of nowhere in the city, right? Like it's the location just so much more fun to kind of experience the horse racing atmosphere at Saratoga than it is up in Belmont.
Yeah, absolutely. Belmont Park, the park itself is amazing. Like when you go, it's like, wow, this place is so cool. And it's going to be even more cool because you've got what's going to be a state-of-the-art facility, right? Once it's completed and something that's going to be like the talk of racing for sure. But once you go outside of Belmont Park, it's like, where do I go now, to kind of enjoy myself, whether it just be to go get something to eat or do something different. It's a little bit of a kind of a mystery where to go after that. Now, I do know like the property is definitely going to be different up at Belmont. They're kind of building things within the property. So maybe that's going to be something that you can do. But I'm very curious to see it, but I am not sad at all that I can spend another week in Saratoga, another little bonus weekend for me.
Yeah, I'm jealous, man. You got to be up there this weekend. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about that on the show, what it was like to be at the racetrack when we saw Sovereignty or Journalism turn for home in the lead and Sovereignty go there and run him down. So excited to kind of get your take on what it was like at Saratoga for this as well.
Yeah, it was, spoiler alert, it was a good time. It was a very good time. We had a lot of fun. And the race, the race did live up to the hype plus some. I think it delivered. The whole Triple Crown delivered as well. So it was, it was a darn good time, and it was amazing to see a performance like that.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk a little more on the show. This is going to be one of the Triple Crowns I will remember every single race from. I mean, obviously with Sovereignty winning the Derby and having a huge cash there, but then the Journalism, the trip in the Preakness, and then this phenomenal Belmont kind of gave us three races that are going to stick with us.
Yep, absolutely. It was something.
Welcome in here, VSiN at the track. Aaron Halterman. It's the Friday after the Belmont. We've officially made it through the Triple Crown, and we've got a little bit new style of show that we're going to do here today as well. We're going to talk about Saratoga, the track, the Belmont, everything from the Triple Crown. We'll jump into the stakes races that are coming up over this weekend. So some major stakes races from coast to coast. We'll cover 4 separate races today on the show, and then also talk about our best bets here in the last segment over the weekend, where we can go anywhere. Doesn't have to be a stakes race, doesn't have to be one of the highlight races. You're just trying to make a buck. So we'll get to those as well toward the end. And since we're not re-airing here on VSiN, this is going to be a free-flowing show, which I'm super excited about. So if you're in the chat, ask away any questions, tell us who you like in these races. We can read and respond to those as we go through here, Aaron. But let's start out. How was Saratoga last weekend? You were at the Belmont. What'd you think?
I think I'm recovered fully now. A good thing the show wasn't on like a Tuesday or Wednesday. Who knows? We having call Patrick in, get him another fill-in job there. But no, look, to be serious about it, it was a spectacular time. I was very stressed early in the day with all the rain and the cancellations. You hate that. You don't want to see that ever. But thankfully, the track dried out, and the Belmont Stakes itself delivered a performance with sovereignty and even a performance by journalism that I'll remember forever. An incredible race. Top of the stretch, it did kind of look like journalism was getting ready to do his thing and win 2 out of 3 legs of the Triple Crown there. And then you kind of looked back and you saw sovereignty and you're like, nope, it's going to be sovereignty that's going to win 2 out of 3 legs of the Triple Crown. So an incredible performance by him. Just thought, man, what a monster effort. As impressive as his Kentucky Derby was, Mike, I really think the Belmont was that much more impressive for sovereignty. He was just a monster last Saturday.
Yeah, he was huge, and he did it with a different style as well. I think that can't be it has to be noted, at least, because you've got this situation where sovereignty had been coming from the back of the pack. We saw this massive closing kick when he won at Gulfstream, a massive closing kick when he wins at Churchill, really a pace-aided race in the Derby. Not a pace-aided race here for sovereignty, and he was as close as second place on the inside at one point around the first turn, so much more forwardly placed. I'm not sure he got faster. I think he's just developing as a horse, and so you're seeing him with a little bit more early speed as he gets older and more mature, and that difference made all the difference in the world because journalism gets the jump on him. Journalism was loaded, ran a very, very good race, and sovereignty made him look like he was standing still coming down the lane. Alvarado doesn't have to ask sovereignty once to get him to go his fastest, and it looked like sovereignty could have gone around again. So I think we've officially answered the question, who is the best 3-year-old right now in America? That's sovereignty. What do you make of the path forward here? Because I expect sovereignty to go to the Travers. I expect journalism to go to the Travers. Do you think this is a situation where sovereignty just keeps getting better? Do you think journalism has a chance with a break to turn the tables in the Travers? And do you think there's anyone else out there that could kind of push themselves up into this top pairing?
Yeah, I think, the first kind of part of your question of what's next for sovereignty, how's this looking going forward, I think you kind of answered it a bit with your analysis of the race. If sovereignty can be closer to the pace like he was in the Belmont, he sat third, like you said, and still have that same kick. You tell me who's going to beat him, whether it be 3-year-olds or older horses, because when you have a devastating closing kick and you can only sit a couple of links behind the leaders, that's really tough to beat. You're going into that territory where it's really tough to get a horse beat like that. So, yeah, the path forward looks to be the Travers Stakes coming up in August for sovereignty. I don't know if he'll run. There's a prep race at Saratoga called the Jim Dandy. I think they're kind of 50-50 where they'll run there or not. We'll just kind of see how he's doing. But he's going to go Jim Dandy Travers or just go to the Travers. And look, I think he's going to be awfully tough to beat in that spot. I really do. I don't really know at this point how you beat him if you're one of these horses that he's already faced. I think journalism fired one of his better races, if not the best race of his career, and still wasn't close to him in the Belmont. So it's going to take, to me, it's going to take sovereignty to kind of, take a step backwards a little bit. Or maybe one of these horses like a Baeza or like another horse that's maybe just very lightly raced that we don't see coming yet really improve. Because at this point, the way sovereignty sat third in the Belmont and then was still able to kick with a huge closing effort, that's going to be really tough for this 3-year-old class to beat. And you may be looking at the favorite right now for the Breeders' Cup Classic if you really look forward into November, because he just looks to be that horse right now that's just going to be very, very tough to stop.
Yeah, if he wins the Travers, I think he's going to be the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Classic. We'll see if he's able to do that. Shadi in the chat, I really think journalism might stay in California. I would expect Baeza goes back to California. Michael McCarthy, he's a little more of a wild card in my mind, whether or not you see him in California or you see him on the East Coast. the 3-year-old races are just so much heavier on the East Coast. I guess that's why I'm making the assumption. Do you think journalism ends up running in California leading up to the Breeders' Cup, or do you think it is New York?
Well, they have a great decision to make here, a big decision to make, I should say. If you stay in California, it's not the worst path, but you're going to be facing older horses. So like you said, most of the big, or at least I should say all of the big 3-year-old races are on the East Coast. California, no. I mean, but you could face older horses. That probably would mean you're choosing to face a horse like Nisos for Bob Baffert, who is an older horse that's kind of coming on strong. There could be another, one or two pop up there as well that you would have to face. So it's kind of a tough situation where are we going to go try to beat Sovereignty again and go out east, or are we going to stay home? I kind of think he's going to stay home based on what Michael McCarthy has said so far. But I do agree with what you said. This horse really didn't have to run in all 3 of the Triple Crown races, but they did it because they had confidence in the horse. They loved their horse. They thought he would run well in all 3, and he did, so they did it. So will they kind of choose to say, hey, you know what? Let's go out there and let's try to take another shot at the Travers. Let's try, hey, he's a 3-year-old. He's only 3 once. Let's try to take a shot at those big races out here. So it kind of sounds like as of right now, we're staying home. That's my guess as of now, but you're right. With Michael McCarthy, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's shipped up to Saratoga for stakes races before. And the money involved in these 3-year-old purses with the Haskell, with the Travers, they're just so attractive to me if I'm an ownership group versus taking on olders in the major California circuit races, 2-turn races there. So interesting to see what they're going to do with journalism. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Burnham Square, because I asked who could step up into these top 2. Burnham Square is the one horse that I think is very interesting. Didn't get a very good trip in the Kentucky Derby. We saw him come back and lose to East Avenue in the Matt Winn at Churchill Downs this weekend, but it was a 4-horse field. You knew East Avenue was going to get the lead. He went gate to wire and won. Burnham Square one, I think we have to keep an eye on moving forward in the second half of the year, Aaron.
Yeah, so you referenced the Matt Winn, and if you watched it, that was a race where East Avenue, it was, first of all, it scratched off to a 4-horse field, and then East Avenue was the only speed. You could tell it's like he won that race for one reason. He got out to the front, and it was just a track that he wasn't going to lose on when he set those easy fractions. That Burnham Square run is sneaky. I totally agree with you. The problem is I could see Burnham Square winning a big race coming up that Sovereignty is not a part of, right? But the level of improvement that it's going to take from Burnham Square to get to Sovereignty is significant. Not saying it can't happen, just saying, boy, that is going to be tough to get there, right? So I'm with you, though. I think he was the best horse in the Matt Winn. He's kind of the best of the quote-unquote other that we're going to see. I still don't know if he can get to Sovereignty. Can he rise to, like, Baeza's level? I think so. But can he get to journalism Sovereignty? I'm not quite sure, but he's one to watch out for. Final Gambit also was in that Matt Winn. He had no chance because of the pace setup and because of the way the race was run. So you might keep an eye on him, but I'm kind of with you. I'm a little bit higher on Burnham Square versus a Final Gambit or a Cold Battle or even an East Avenue who won the Matt Winn.
Yeah, I think Final Gambit was kind of a one-trick pony. I think the Derby set up perfectly for him to get 4th, and I'm not sure we're going to see him compete at the top level on dirt specifically. I think he may end up being a better turf horse. You may see him in synthetic stakes races, but I'm not sure from a dirt perspective he's near the top cut of this class. Now, we did get big news this morning, really, Aaron. The Belmont is going to be at Saratoga again next year. So Belmont Park is supposed to be ready September 2026, but they hadn't officially announced we're going to be at Saratoga for the Belmont next year. Now they officially have announced it, Aaron. You happy or upset about this?
Oh, I'm smiling from ear to ear. Are you kidding me? Another bonus trip up to Saratoga for me. Look, selfishly, I love it, man. That's my favorite place in the world, and I can't wait. May make reservations as soon as we get out of here today, right? But look, I think overall, put kind of the joking aside there, it is, as much as I love Saratoga, and I wish it was there every year, it is kind of weird that the Belmont is not at Belmont Park. And I understand why, and I get it. And once Belmont Park is done, it's going to be great. But I am kind of ready for the Belmont to be run at Belmont Park and kind of get back to that normalcy and the thing that we all kind of know and love. I mean, Saratoga is just around the corner after the Belmont Stakes is over on normal years, so it'll be okay. We'll get up there eventually. But look, with that being said, Somich, I'm going to enjoy another little bonus trip up to the spa. There's no place like it. But yeah, let's get it back to Belmont Park eventually. Let's get it back to a mile and a half. I know that's a talking point for some people as well, and I get it. But I'll enjoy the bonus trip one more year up there at Saratoga.
Yeah, it's going to be one more year. I think it's awesome. I love Saratoga. I'd rather be at Saratoga than at Belmont. Hopefully, we can be live from Saratoga doing a show next year. So hopefully that works out for us up at Saratoga. Now, before we move on and we talk about some of these specific races that we're going to cover this weekend, including the Salvator Mile, we're going to talk about the Daytona over at Santa Anita. Let's quickly recap the rest of what happened at Saratoga this weekend. I thought we could each kind of mention one horse we were very impressed with. I'll kick it off with Patch Adams, a horse that we talked about on this show last week with Patrick. You obviously missed that one, but we talked about Patch Adams over on RacingDudes.com's YouTube page as well during the Magic Mike show. My favorite angle in horse racing, and unfortunately it doesn't happen all the time, but is when you have these one-turn horses that the connections get all excited. They want to go and they want to have these horses try and make the Triple Crown. And with Patch Adams, I understand why he did it. He was a very impressive horse in his first two races, both around one turn. But when you stretched him out to that mile and 16th distance, he just was not nearly as good. He comes back on the Churchill Downs or the Kentucky Derby undercard, looks phenomenal going one turn, and then he replicates that performance at Saratoga, being able to beat Manicat Road, paying $8 to win. I thought Patch Adams was awesome. I think he is a horse that could possibly, like the sprint division's loaded this year. I think he's one that you have to pay attention to in the sprint division in the Breeders' Cup if he's able to continue to improve, because he still does need to get better to compete with the top of that division.
Yeah, I think Patch Adams is a good one to mention for sure. And like you said, he's getting back to what he likes to do. And lo and behold, he's won 2 races in a row when he gets back to what he actually wants to do. I'll mention one that I think has kind of thrown a little bit of a monkey wrench, let's say, into the 3-year-old filly division, and that is Nitrogen. So Nitrogen is a beast of a horse on the turf, right? However, of course, all the races got rained off the turf Saturday. She stayed in and ran on the dirt. And so your first thought was, man, why are you putting like this great turf horse on the dirt, maybe risking, what she's going to do down the road? And then you watch her stroll through that muddy dirt. And you're like, whoa, she's pretty good on this surface as well. I still think her best surface is on the turf, but here's why I say she really adds a lot of intrigue. So the leader in the 3-year-old division, it was Good Cheer. Good Cheer lost the Acorn. Not really her fault, kind of ran over a bias track. Couldn't make up any ground, right? Now, they said Nitrogen's going to go back to the turf, and then they're going to try the dirt again up at Saratoga in a race maybe like the Alabama or the Coaching Club American Oaks. What if she can win on the dirt again? Like, how does that kind of affect the division that looked like it was locked up and it was Good Cheers? Now it adds intrigue. So, look, I know as a 3-horse field, I'm not really saying she's some kind of monster on it. All I'm saying is, she ran well enough to make you think, boy, we could see another try at this. She adds a lot of intrigue into a vision that we thought would be kind of sewed up. Not so much anymore. So I thought Nitrogen was very eye-catching. She was just a smidge slower than the Met Mile, which was a Grade 1 race won by Raging Torrent. So all systems kind of go there for Nitrogen. I loved what I saw from her there.
Yeah, Nitrogen was awesome. I think she's like a cheat code at Saratoga. You put her into those turf races that are graded stakes, and if they come off, you have the best horse anyway. And we do see, obviously, the rain in upstate New York quite a bit. So I love her in that aspect. I'm not knocking Good Cheer at all for the effort. Licaro wins that race gate to wire over a speed favoring track when that race actually took place. So to me, when you have a lone speed horse like that and you're trying this weird track for the first time, I think Good Cheer is still your best 3-year-old filly. I do think Nitrogen is at least a little interesting and definitely your second best 3-year-old filly on the dirt right now based off of the performances that we've seen. All right, we're going to get into handicaps and some races here, but before we do that, if you're looking to hit a trifecta this weekend, why don't you start out here with the $500 trifecta from GBank, First Bet, and VSiN? All you need to do is open a GBank Visa signature credit card in the first 90 days, deposit and play through $1,000 at First Bet to trigger the $500 trifecta. You'll receive $200 cash back and rewards on your GBank Visa signature credit card. First Bet will give you a $100 deposit match bonus, and VSiN completes the trifecta with a free VSiN Pro subscription through August 31st, 2026, a $200 value. That's a $500 trifecta from GBank, First Bet, and VSiN. Head to VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. for this one-time promotion. It's limited to customers opening a new account in response to this offer and will not apply to requests to convert existing accounts. Apply today. Terms and conditions do apply. Now, Aaron, one of the fun parts about this is we get to kind of jump into stakes races that we want to talk about over the weekend, and then we'll jump into even more races a little bit later as well. Let's start it out here with the Chorleywood Stakes. This is over at Churchill Downs on Saturday's card. Race number 10, $200,000 stakes race going a mile and 3/8 over the turf. Your favorite is the number 4 Rebel Red. The number 3 Utah Beach is the second choice. Utah Beach won the Louisville last time out in a race which was a mess. A couple horses went down in that race after flipping heels, and Utah Beach was able to take advantage of it. Do you think it's an open and shut case here with the top 2 choices in the betting, or are you looking further down the board for a price?
There you go. Looking further down the board for a price. I do not think this is open and shut whatsoever. A matter of fact, I'm going to go with a 15-1 shot that will never be 15-1. I'll tell you that right off the bat. But I'm going to go number 8.
I think we picked the same horse.
We did. Well, listen. Okay. I'll save some good stuff for you to say. How about that? Well, here's the deal.
All right.
Highway Robber was a horse that was supposed to run last weekend, right? In a much tougher race. Horse scratched. Honestly, I didn't think he was going to win, but I definitely thought he was in with a little bit of a shot. But you look at this race, he's in with a huge shot. This is a much easier field than he faced last time out when he was in a grade 1 race. He got third, only beaten a length in that race. The second place finisher did come back to win his last start. The winner didn't run quite as well, but he was in that tough race I mentioned, the Manhattan, and he didn't, he just didn't get his, footing there. It was kind of a soft turf course. Maybe just didn't like the surface. So the number 8 Highway Robber, I think, sits a really good trip here, and I think gets it done. I think this is a perfect spot, stretching out again to a mile and 3/8. I like that for this horse as well. So I'll save it because you got to say something here, right? But the number 8 Highway Robber, that's who I've got on top.
Yeah, look, I get why Utah Beach is your second choice. I get why Rebel Red's the favorite. I don't understand this 15-1 money line at all. I don't think there's any chance that Highway Robber goes off at 15-1. I expect somewhere around 5-1, and I still think that's some value on this horse. You mentioned that last race that Highway Robber was in. That was the Grade 1 Turf Classic. Spirit of St. Louis won that race. Spirit of St. Louis has been awesome this year. Don't worry about what happened in Manhattan. As Aaron said, turf course is a mess. Deterministic took that field gate to wire. I'm not going to knock Spirit of St. Louis for that race. Mercante came back to win off of that race in a very competitive race. One I didn't think Mercante was going to win. Highway Robber was directly behind both of those horses, only lost by a length to those two. Was it at a mile and 1/8, which I don't think is Highway Robber's best distance, was off the layoff, first time since being overseas in Dubai. I think that is a big disadvantage there. This horse is 1 at a mile and a half, 1 at a mile and a quarter. So again, distance, absolutely no issue here going this mile and 3/8. The pace sets up well for Highway Robber, who, is going to be coming from off it, but there is enough speed early on in this race. I don't think you're going to be completely out of it. And you mentioned it. This is a drop in class when you look through this field. So I like Highway Robber quite a bit here at 15-1, Aaron. I think Tappet Shoe is a little interesting at 15-1 as well. This is a horse that I can't quit. I probably played this horse a few too many times, but did win at a nice price at Turfway Park. Jumped up into the stakes company on the turf the last race, and I thought was going to run a very good race and was one of the 2 horses that was kind of involved in that incident, ended up losing the rider there at Churchill. I think this horse is a lot closer to Utah Beach than 15-1 and 7-2. Did you have any interest in the 2 Tappet Shoes, or am I crazy?
Oh, I'm kind of with you. I believed in this horse for a long time, and I don't know. I couldn't do it this time around. I do see what you're saying with the horse, though. I do think that this is one that you can logically make sense. I think the 8 makes more sense at the price, but I do think the 2 is going to more realistically be the price that the morning line says. Again, if I like the horse and you like the horse, a lot of other people are going to like it. The 8's going to be like 5-1. Yeah. So I get it. If you're looking for a true long shot, the 2 would make sense. I do want to mention, though, the 3 Utah Beach. This is a horse that I did try to beat in the last 2 races. And you said it last time out, got a little bit of luck, but was still able to get the job done. I still think this is one you got to use. I prefer Utah Beach over the 4 Rebel Red, the 2 kind of horses you mentioned that are favorites in here. I think Utah Beach is the one you want to play out of the 2. I just think he's starting to come on. He's kind of, you kind of just have that consistent form. You see him winning races kind of similar to this. So I was 8-3 in here. And like I said, I just kind of feel like it might just be time to put Utah Beach on the ticket finally after back-to-back pretty good efforts against very similar competition.
Yeah, look, you can't knock what Utah Beach has done specifically in the last two races. They came out of nowhere, but this is also a 5-year-old English channel, and English channels generally do develop later in their year. So you could make an argument that this is when this horse is fully maturing. So I understand why people want to back Utah Beach. I agree with you. If Rebel Red and Utah Beach are the same price, give me Utah Beach. I don't think that there should be. I don't think that they should be the same price. I think Utah Beach should be the favorite here, around 5-2. Rebel Red should be somewhere in the 7-2, 4-1 range. Before we move on, I want to at least make sure I mention Lambeth, the 6th horse here. This is a horse. She's a daughter. He is a son of Arrogate, and he's got Tap It on the bottom. So this horse is bred to love the turf and has yet to touch it. Did win going a mile and a half, 2 back at Oaklawn Park over the dirt, went gate to wire. Was very good last time out at Churchill and just kind of quit toward the end of the race. Now we're flipping over to turf for the first time for Joe Sharp, who is a very high percentage trainer. You get Brian Hernandez Jr. up. The two of them click off at 21% with a positive ROI. Can Lambeth take this field gate to wire, or am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy. I kind of like Lambeth a little bit better than Tappet Shoes, to be honest with you, because of the distance and because of the speed. The speed is going to be key in this. It always is key in the longer races. Getting out to front usually is beneficial, mostly because, a lot of those horses, when they turn for home in these longer races, they're just a little tired and they just don't want to really, pass other horses unless they're, ones that are just kind of specialists at this. So, I think it's the front. And again, the distance is the big key here. Will he like the turf? I'm 50-50 on it, right? Bred to run on kind of both, and I think you kind of articulated that there. So no, I don't hate that pick at all. I think this is a horse that's live, and again, you got to make the decision. Do you want to go kind of all long shots, or do you kind of want to sprinkle in one of the logicals with one of the long shots?
So that's the Chorleywood Stakes. Hate the name of the stakes race. The 10th race at Churchill Downs on Saturday. Highway Robber for me, 15-1 on the morning line. Highway Robber for Aaron, 15-1 on the morning line. I think we get 5-1. What do you think the final price is on Highway Robber?
Probably what you just said. I do think people will gravitate towards the 3 and the 4. I think those are accurate as far as being the top two choices. So if they fall at, let's say, 5-2 and 3-1, or 3-1 and 7-2, 5-1 Highway Robber would be the next price. So yes, I agree with your assessment. I think that's exactly where that horse will fall.
All right, let's head over to Delaware Park. We've got the Grade 3 Delaware Oaks, the 9th race at Delaware Park on Saturday's card. And not the best 3-year-old fillies that we have in the country, but a very interesting competitive race here, Aaron. So this is one that felt like we could highlight here. And I think that you can actually try and get a little bit of a price if you would like to. The favorite is going to be the number 4, Maggie's Intention, who won the Black-Eyed Susan last time out on the Friday before the Preakness. I was against her that day. I'm going to be against her today. Who do you like in this spot?
Same kind of assessment as you there on the favorite. I was against her there, and I'm going to be against her here. That was a horrific running of the Black-Eyed Susan. Not a lot of great horses in that field, and that's kind of why we were against her, and she ended up coming through anyway. I went back and forth here a lot. I'm going to go number 7, Fondly, on top in this spot. This is a horse trained by Grand Motion, who's usually not, pretty conservative trainer, kind of a trainer that takes his time with horses. This horse broke the maiden back on February 14th at Tampa, then went to Colonial Downs and won a stakes race, and then went right to the Kentucky Oaks in the third start. Now, look, the Kentucky Oaks, it did not go well at all for the number 7 Fondly. Finished 11th, beaten 19 lengths. However, I think the horse is now in a much more logical spot, a much better spot. So the number 7 Fondly, I liked how aggressive he was with this horse. It didn't work out, but I still think this could be a really nice horse. So I think this is a good spot, found the right race for her. So give me the number 7 on top.
Yeah, I don't mind the number 7 here. I think it makes sense. You mentioned it, went into the Kentucky Oaks, was a little aggressive there from Grand Motion, someone who's not overly aggressive with his horses, and it just didn't work out. And I'm okay when that happens. I'm going to go to another horse that they got a little aggressive with, and it didn't work out. Right to the inside of Fondly is Kassar here, 6-1 on the morning line for Shug McGahee. Lascano gets the mount. This horse broke the maiden at Tampa and did it from the outside at a decent price, and they immediately threw her into the grade 2 Gulfstream Park Oaks off of that. You saw some regression there, first time trying to go 2 turns. Didn't work out quite as well for her in what I thought was a decent version of the Gulfstream Park Oaks there. And then jumps back into Aqueduct over Belmont at the Big A and wins a N1X allowance race. I thought impressively in that spot, repeats the buyer of the first race, shows that she's got talent to go longer than just the 6.5 furlongs. And you're getting a 6-1 price. And I look around at this field and it's like, do I really want to play the 5 Paris Lily with Rosario up, a horse that's going to have to go to the front? And there's other speed in here. Margie's Intention, the 4, who's the favorite for Brad Cox. It was against state-bred Louisiana breds before that Black-Eyed Susan, and you mentioned that Black-Eyed Susan wasn't a very good race, so kind of willing to take a shot against her as well. And I landed on the 6 Casaro. I think has a lot of upside here. It's a $400,000 purchase. It's a daughter of City of Light. It shouldn't have any issues with the distance. I like the fact that we're getting aggressive again after going back to the allowance level. Did you consider the 6 Casaro at all here?
I had the Casar, the 6 and 4th. I do like a lot of the points you made with this horse, and I'm with you. It's just like I'm trying to get around the 4, and I'm going to use enough horses to try. If we beat the 4, at least we're going to have one of them, right? So I am with you. I thought you made a lot of really good points. I will mention the horse I like in second is the horse that did finish second to the favorite last time out. And that's the 5 Paris Lily. Like I said, second in the Black-Eyed Susan last time out. That race was at 1 1/8. She tried to take the field gate to wire. She went way too fast, but still almost held on because the rest of the horses behind him just weren't very good. Gets shorter distance today, 1/16, and I think will be on the lead again. I think if she just goes a tad slower, she can take him gate to wire this time. Like I said, she was my pick last time out in the Black-Eyed Susan, just barely got beat by 3/4 of a length. I like the number 5 Paris Lily here in this spot. But yeah, I do like your 6, but I think the 5's got the pace advantage. I think if she can get out to the front, she can take this group gate to wire. And like I said, last time out, she almost did it. Gets shorter distance today. Just has to kind of, beat the same style of horses, or the same type of horses, I should say. I think the 5 Paris Lily on the front end is going to be very dangerous.
Yeah, box them up, call them home here. 5, 6, 7. I think those are the 3 horses you want to play if you're going to play a trifecta. Exacta boxes. Complexity Jane, the other horse that has some early foot, but it's not really that fast. And it's been at Laurel. It's not been in bigger tracks, at bigger races, as you mentioned. Like the races where Paris Lily's gotten the lead have been much more impressive races than the races Complexity Jane has gotten the lead. You also have some speed from the 2 Late Night Call, but again, it feels like cheap speed because it's getting the lead at 21 or 24 and change, 48, 49 and change, whereas Paris Lily, specifically last time out, went out there and ran 46-1 to get the lead. And the time before that was 47-1. So a full second faster than the other speed in this race. If you are looking to bet these races or any other races this weekend, make sure you get into the action over at firstbet.com. Sign up now to receive exclusive promotions and bet on hundreds of thrilling horse races every single day right from your phone or computer. Visit firstbet.com. That's the number 1 STBET.com and use promo code VSiN200 to score a 20% rebate on all your wagers for the first 60 days up to $200. Don't miss out. Start betting over at firstbet.com today. That's promo code VSiN200 for a $200 rebate in your first 60 days. All right, Aaron, let's keep on trucking here. And this time we are going to head to Monmouth Park before we head out west. We've got the grade 3 Salvator Mile coming at us from Monmouth Park. This is race number 10 on Saturday's card. This is the one where I'm probably the most scared of the favorite. The number 9 Bishop's Bay, 6-5 on the morning line here. We'll try and take this field gate to wire for Brad Cox and Flavian Pratt, and looks pretty tough. Did you get around Bishop's Bay? You're putting him on top.
Yeah, 2 longer prices to start the show, or at least 2 non-favorites, but I can't here. I think the number 9 Bishop's Bay is going to be really tough. This was a horse that was hyped to be a pretty darn good 3-year-old, I should say. And he did well, and then he had an injury, had a long time off, almost over 500 days off, but has come back, won 4 out of 5 races. And the biggest thing for me is this just kind of looks like his race, right? I think he's really good going a mile. Kind of the grade 2, grade 3 level. I think that's where you're absolutely going to see him at his best. I just don't think the biggest thing for me too is I just don't see anything else in this race that I'm interested in much. So he's a single for me on this sequence. I just think he's going to take the lead and be really tough to pass. So yeah, nothing kind of fancy here. The number 9 Bishop's Bay, he's been really, really consistent. I don't see anything that's going to beat him. He has one loss this year, and it was one he just should not have lost, but he came back after that loss with 3 straight nice victories. So, yeah, number 9, Bishop's Bay for me. I think he's ultra tough in the spot.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Bishop's Bay is the favorite, and for a reason. I'm going to put Bishop's Bay on top as well, but that means that we have to talk about how do you bet this race, because I think this is one of the more interesting parts about horse racing, especially when you're playing in cash tournaments. How can you take favorites and make them profitable and make it so that you're able to get 4, 5, 6, 7 to 1 with a favorite on top? And in this race, I think after Bishop's Bay, it is absolutely wide open. I think you can go in 6, 7 different directions here if you wanted to. And that means that the exacta is going to pay pretty well with Bishop's Bay on top if you can pick who is in that second spot and just play it cold. I was down to 2 horses, so I'd like to get your opinion on these 2. The 4, Awfully Cool, I think is a very interesting horse. Been running at lesser racetracks, specifically Parks and Laurel, but has been getting better, and you can kind of go back to some of the races in late 2023, early 2024. Those races are good enough to beat the rest of this field in my mind. You also have a horse that's just in good form right now. You've got enough early speed that you're not going to be too far back. You're going to be ahead of the majority of this field. And I think Awfully Cool has a legitimate shot to be second here, and maybe even contend with Bishop's Bay. The other one I thought was interesting was the 6 Vitality. This is going to be second time out for the Orsino barn. Usually runs in Florida. Deciding to ship this horse up for the Salvator Mile I thought was really interesting, off a awesome win coming back off the layoff and first time in the barn, as well as first time as a 4-year-old. So a lot of reasons that Vitality could improve here. And you're probably getting 8 to 1, maybe 10 to 1 on the 9-6 exacta. You're probably getting 6 to 8 to 1 on the 9-4 exacta. Do you agree with the way to attack this race from an exacta perspective? And if you do, who do you have in that second spot?
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I hate the number 3 Tuscan Sky, so I would not play that horse and just play it straight. I would get some of the prices involved. So I am with you. I do agree with what you're saying here. I like 2 horses as well. I wasn't a huge fan of your 6, so I won't comment on that one. I do like the 4 Awfully Cool quite a bit, and I think it makes total sense what you're saying logically with this horse. You know, look, hasn't been in the toughest of races lately, but guess what? Once you get past the 9, this isn't a tough race either. So I like Awfully Cool. That is one of the ones I played. I'll give you another one, and I'll let you comment on this one and tell me I'm crazy. If you think I'm crazy. What about the number 7, Nelson Avenue? I thought this was an interesting horse. Look, he sucks. I get it. However, he's the only other horse in the race that I think has any speed. What if he can kind of clear, get to the front, Bishop Bay kind of tracks him, but he just stays ahead of all the other horses in the race because they're just not that good. I think Nelson Avenue at 15 to 1, playing underneath an exacta, it does make sense. It's kind of just a trip handicapping situation for me. You look at the race, you got to go further back, but you look at New Year's Eve of last year. If he can get that kind of trip, maybe he holds on for second in this spot. So it's been a while since we've seen his best, but I do think this sets up decent for him. I do like that Abreu takes over training. I think that is a trainer upgrade here as well. So look, I like your 4. I'll throw out your 6, but throw in your 7 for the horse to play underneath.
You're crazy. Nelson Avenue is going to speed and quit. The problem is Bishop's Bay is going to press him. And if Bishop Bay presses Nelson Avenue, I just don't see how he holds on for second or third. Let's go 9-4. 9-4 cold here from the show for the exacta in the Salvator Mile. One more race to cover before we give our best bets from all over the place for the weekend. Let's head out to Santa Anita. The 10th race on the card, the Grade 3 Daytona, going 6.5 furlongs down the hill. Your favorite is going to be the number 7 Meritorious, 6 to 5 on the morning line. Totally get it. Totally want to play against this horse from a win perspective. Who do you got on top, Aaron?
Yeah, we talked about this race a little bit on Racing Dudes yesterday, and I'm with you. I think first off the layoff for kind of the older Meritorious, maybe he needs a race. He definitely has the class, and I get that. But we're taking shots against. I went with the number 3 Goliad in this spot, and I realized that Goliad has not been great over this course, and that is a little bit of a problem. Going 6.5 furlongs was what I mean by that. But boy, he just looks to be lone speed. I mean, I just don't see anything that's going to really press this horse. I think he's going to get a great trip. He's another older horse, ran off of a long layoff last time out, and we said it. We covered him on this show when he ran last time out, and we said he just needs a race. Keep an eye on him. He's not for today, but down the road, yes. And I realize this isn't like the perfect spot that we had in mind. We kind of thought he'd be going 2 turns. Still, I like Mandela quite a bit. He is a great trainer. I think he's got an idea here that he's going to have a horse ready to rock and roll going 6.5. I think they're just going to let this horse loose and see what happens. He is the fastest horse in the race, so I'm looking for gate to wire out of Goliad in this spot.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Goliad, one of the ones I looked at. I just don't think this horse is able to stay on. The trip should be good. And if he gets loose, then I get a lot more concerned. But the two efforts at down the hill here at Santa Anita, so 6.5 furlongs is actually down a hill. It's not the flat track with the turn, but you go down a hill, you go over a dirt crossing, and there are specific horses for courses that just love this track and this setup. One of those, the number 2 horse in this spot, Brand, who is 9-2 on the morning line. That's where I'm going to end up here. Second off the layoff for this 7-year-old for John Sadler. Sadler second off the layoff, 29% with a $4.61 ROI. Brand has won 2 times over this turf course, has another 3 second places and 7 starts. I think Brand is 7-2, a very, very interesting, or 9-2 is a very interesting one to try and play against, specifically Notorious, the number 7. I'd be remiss if we didn't mention the 5, Stay Hot, as well, Aaron. I know this is one we both like at 6-1. JJ Hernandez rides back. It's a horse that has only gone 6.5 furlongs once. That resulted in a win. This is a horse that is ultra consistent, has been in the top 4 the last 5 races, 4 of those 5 graded stakes. All of them going like a mile and a 16th, a mile and an eighth. The cutback isn't going to be a concern, and actually won at 6.5 off the layoff back in February of 24. Just like we are running here off the layoff as well. Stay Hot at 6-1. I know you like this one as well. Any other reasons you were interested in Stay Hot?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. We do like the same horse here in Stay Hot. The other weird thing, or in just kind of, this is an oddity, really. He's the youngest horse in the race. Like, he's a 4-year-old, and we've got a lot of 6, 7, and 8-year-olds in this race. So is he just kind of the now horse? Is he the fresher horse of this group? Is he kind of the up-and-coming horse that's going to kind of take over, maybe not the 6.5 furlong division per se, but this 6.5 to mile division out in Southern California? It kind of feels like it to me. Also, Hernandez was on last time out. He is the top jockey out in California, and the horse ran well, got second at Santa Anita in a race going a mile. Hernandez back on here, and when Hernandez rides for the trainer Peter Urton, it's a pretty deadly combination. So, yeah, listen, the price is right as well. 6-1 on this horse. I think you're going to get every bit of it with Notorious in the race. He's going to take a lot of money. I like Stay Hot quite a bit, and like I said, I just kind of have the feeling it's like, man, this is kind of the new shooter to this group, and you got a lot of horses that might be teetering on being over the hill. This horse certainly is not. So I think he's ready to fire a pretty big race here.
That is the Grade 3 Daytona Stakes. The 10th race at Santa Anita on Saturday. Number 2, Brand for me. Number 3, Goliad for Aaron. Both of us going to be using Stay Hot in exactas and multi-race bets, though, as well. Make sure if you remember, if you want to bet any of those races, you can head over to firstbet.com. Use promo code VSiN200 to sign up. Get a 20% rebate on all your wagers in the first 60 days up to $200. And Aaron, that takes us to what I think is going to be a lot of people's favorite segments here in the show. We got our best bets for the weekend here. I'll let you kick it off with your 3 bets that you're focusing on here, either today, Friday, or tomorrow, Saturday. So who do you like here, Aaron?
All right, I'll kick us off with Monmouth Park. We'll go back to Monmouth here for Saturday. So this will be a Saturday bet at Monmouth Park. Race 8 is the Pegasus Stakes. That is the local prep for the Haskell Stakes, which I'm sure we'll be covering on this show coming up in July. I like the number 3 Garamond at 8-5 on the morning line. Now, if you remember, Garamond was entered in an allowance race last time out at Aqueduct that featured a horse named Cornucopian. Cornucopian was supposed to be the second coming, right? Like some kind of great horse. He was so good that most of the horses scratched out of the race. Garamond did not. He stayed into the field of the body of the field, and he dominated Cornucopian. He wins by over 3 lengths in impressive fashion. I really like this horse going forward. I think this is a really nice next step for this one. So my first play, Somich, is going to be the number 3 Garamond in the 8th race on Saturday at Monmouth Park.
Don't hate it. Did not want to play the race because of the price, but I agree with you. I think Garamond is a very, very likely winner. I'll start out my place here with today. Let's go to race 9, Belmont at the Big A on Friday here. Love the price on this horse. We'll see if we actually get the 10-1 morning line on the number 5, Other People's Money. This is a race without world beaters. We'll just put it that way. Not a lot of very good horses in here. The number 5, Other People's Money, in the Rob Atras barn. Went out in the Rob Atras barn the first time and was supposed to be on turf. The race gets washed off turf. So going to completely chuck that one out. But what I thought was interesting is that after the first race, showed some speed early. In a 6 furlong sprint race, they went 22-1. This horse was just 3 lengths off the lead. There is zero other speed in this race. If other people's money is able to get to the front and takes to the turf, which I definitely think he's going to, this horse is very, very live at a nice price, 10-1 here in the 9th race from Belmont at the Big A today. Did you like the 5 at all in the last of Belmont at the Big A, Aaron?
I think it's a good call. Yeah, I did not put the horse on top, I'll be honest, but I do have the horse in the mix here, and I think we saw it kind of the same way. Got to get to the front. That's got a big key. If you turn this race on and this horse isn't in the front, I get very worried. But if you can get to the front, I think it's got a big chance. I don't hate it whatsoever. Like I said, it's not my top pick, to be completely honest. But I'm very curious of the odds. Can we get 10-1? Will we be every bit of that? Kind of looks like maybe when you read the past performances, right? So, yeah, I think it's a pretty good pick.
I thought the horse should be like 4.5-1, 9-2 range. And I think we're definitely getting a better price than that when they actually break from the gate. All right, you've got 2 plays here from Gulfstream Park on Saturday. Let's talk about those.
All right, yeah, Gulfstream Park on Saturday, a track that runs year-round. Usually you're paying attention to it, January through April, but they still have good racing on. So let's go to race number 4. We'll do that one first. I'm going to go a daily double. I do really love this horse in the 4th race, the number 2, Bon Vivant. This is a horse that just lost by a nose, the same condition last time out. This time around, facing a much weaker field. I think that horse will be very tough. So we're going to single up the 2 in race 4, and then we're going to go with the 3 and the 7 in race 5 for the second leg of this double. The 3 is Ortis, 3rd last time out at the same exact level, 4th 2 races back at that level as well, knocking on the door, stretches out just a little bit in distance today. I think that's exactly what the horse needs, so I do like the 3 quite a bit. And then the 7, Victory Dash, the other horse I'm going to use in the 5th race to round out the daily double. This horse also just knocking on the door, 3 races back, 1 at a higher level right here at Gulfstream Park, 2 races back, didn't run very well, then last time almost won at the same level, losing by a length. So that's the first bet I should say that I'm going to do here at Gulfstream. Again, it's going to be race 4, going to go the 2 in the first leg with the 3 in the 7 in the second leg. And then we're going to go to race number 9, just a win wager here on the number 7 Smiling Ellie. So the number 7 Smiling Ellie in the 9th race. 2 starts back, ran right here at this racetrack and won easily by 2 1/4 lengths. Stepped up to allowance company last time out, going a mile, which is exactly what's going to happen in the 9th race on Saturday. Got second, beaten a length and a quarter. However, that was back when a lot of really good horses were still around at Gulfstream Park before they shipped up to New York. That was back in April. Now you're getting a field that looks a lot more manageable for this horse, who seems to be getting better with each start this season. So I think she's in a really good spot, and she catches a really good field. Should just kind of sit a nice stocking trip, pounce, and get the job done. So Gulfstream Park race 9 on Saturday. Give me the number 7, Smiling Ellie.
I'm going to take 2 more from Santa Anita tomorrow. I thought there were a couple places to attack the card. One with a couple long shots, one with a couple shorter prices. We'll start out with the shorter prices here. Santa Anita, the 4th race. I think this is just a gallop here for Thought Process, who should win very easily. 3-5 on the morning line, the 2 horse. I'm going to start out a daily double with Thought Process because I want to try and find some value betting with her. And I don't like the favorite in race number 5. The number 2 horse, the GM, will be the favorite in race number 5. I love playing against these horses who won maiden special weights impressively and then try and jump up into N1X level. And I like the 6 horse Mining District quite a bit in this spot, just a little bit bigger of a price, but I'm hoping I can get 4-1, maybe 4.5-1 on the double with the 2 Thought Process over the 6 Mining District in the 4th race from Santa Anita there. So 4th race, daily double, 2 with 6. And then let's go to the 11th. And I'm going to go a little nuts here, Aaron, because this is a spot where I'm going to take prices in the 11th and the 12th here. Let's start out with the 2 horse Sugar Beats. This horse has not had great posts the last 2 times. Now gets a significantly better post, is going to be on the inside with some speed. I think that makes all the difference in the world. Sugar Beats here is 10-1. And the 3 horse Brother O'Brien is 9-2 in this spot. I think the last race wins this. If he can run back to it off the claim here for a trainer that clicks off at 33% when claiming a horse, the $5.73 ROI. So 2 and 3 for me in race number 11. And then let's get wonky in race number 12, where it's just a bunch of horses that are simply not world beaters. I think this is a very bad field. The favorite is going to be in the 12 post all the way on the outside. I hate that draw for it. I'm going to go with 2 15-1 shots. We'll start out with the number 2 Royal Dusty here. This is going to be first time turf after a dirt debut for Mike Pipey. He is 23% when switching from dirt to turf and 25% with first turf starters. This horse has some tactical speed, didn't get a very good trip in the debut. I think Royal Dusty going to be very interesting there in the 12th at Santa Anita, the number 2 horse 15-1. And then we'll take the number 6 Pure Chaos as well for James Cassidy. This is a first time starter. Mike Smith going to jump aboard here. James Cassidy, not a very well-known barn, just 2 starters at Santa Anita this year, just 3 in all of 2025. But has won before. And there's no real data on first-time starters, which makes it hard for people to handicap and get to this horse. But Mike Smith has ridden for him 6 times in the last 2 years. 2 of those rides have turned into wins with a $10.37 ROI. So I will take a big shot in the last 2 races here and play a double. They're not going to bet a lot on this, but I'm going to try and see if we can get a $100, $150 double, somewhere in that range. Race number 11, Santa Anita, 2-3. With 2-6. If you want to check out the full Santa Anita Late Pick 5, head over to Racing Dudes YouTube as well. That's over there. If you want to bet any of these races, make sure you head over to firstbet.com, promo code VSiN200, and you are able to get a $200 rebate, up to a $200 rebate in your first 60 days when you're betting over at firstbet.com. Aaron, love it to be able to talk about in a little more free-flowing manner here on at VSiN Live over on the YouTube channel. We will be back next week, same time, same place, same style, being able to talk through the biggest stakes races of the weekend, talk about the biggest news, and giving out our best bets as well. Any parting words here for us, Aaron?
Well, listen, if you really want to play Mike's double, I think go for it. If for whatever reason he loses the 11th, wheel back with that number 2 in race 12. I really like Royal Dusty as well. So if you lose the first half, wheel back and bet that 2 in race 12 at Santa Anita.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Make sure if you want to check out the replay, we'll be here on YouTube. If you want to join us in the comments next week, 12:15 Eastern, 11:15 Pacific, we'll be here same time, same place at VSiN Live over on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, like the show, and you'll also have the podcast version over on VSiN Best Bets. This was VSiN at the Track.